So the topic that we're going to talk about today is what are the differences between how alum view your sorority packets and specifically your social resume versus how do the sorority chapter members. So I am an alum and I was formerly a chapter member at Pepperdine Delta Gamma. I also ran recruitment as a VP membership. So I have a lot of different kind of perspectives that I'm going to share from for this video. But first, I want to talk about how the alum will be viewing your information because that's who will see your information first. So just to review, a sorority packet includes key components such as your social resume, typically a cover letter that will be addressed to the alumna who are writing your letters of recommendation, 3 photographs, a headshot, a 3/4 shot, and a full body shot. And then we like to always have our girls include thank you notes. That's typically not sent right along with your packet, but maybe 1 or 2 weeks following your packet mailing or your drop off or whatever, just kind of serves as a reminder to your alum like, hey, don't forget about my deadline. So that's included as well. Now the alum, a lot of girls that we see these days are finding their alum who are writing these recs just by going on Facebook, honestly, and saying like, you know, I'm going to OU and I have recs for everybody but Pi Phi, DG, and Kyo. Does anybody know somebody who would be willing to write me a letter of recommendation? So that can be a really good way, you know, to use like your mom's network of friends, your own network of friends to find some women who are willing to write you letters of recommendation. We also always recommend that PNMs get hooked up with their local alumna Panhellenic. So an alumna Panhellenic is a group of women. Some of them are my age, some of them are a lot older. It really just depends from, you know, recent graduates to women who have been repping their sorority for years and years. So they will be from all different sorority houses, and they are all united under the umbrella of the National Panhellenic Conference. Those are all of the primary sororities, we'll call them, that you typically see on college campuses. So your Chi Omegas, your Tri Deltas, your Kappa, Kappa Gammas, your Thetas, and so on. The only sororities who aren't, you know, included under that NPC Panhellenic umbrella would be like your Christian sororities. I know that Baylor University has a lot of non-Panhellenic groups. So you won't find those women typically in alumna Panhellenic organization because they're usually under that NPC group. So anyway, okay, now that you've found your alumna who are going to write your rec letters, the next thing to do is to assemble your sorority packet. So we just touched on what are some of the key components included in your packet. The first thing that as an alumna that I always look at, and I've got a little cute one of our folders from sororitypackets.com here to reference. This is one of our new designs, Succulent Garden. I'm obsessed with it, so cute. But the first thing I typically look at is the cover letter. I have written actually a lot of recommendations for girls whom I have never met in real life, and that's common. Again, like if you're going through an alumna Panhellenic, you're probably not going to know any of those women, and that's why it is so important to really customize your cover letter. So this sample cover letter that we have, this has the verbiage that we offer on sororitypackets.com. A lot of you who are members of our email community have probably already downloaded our free version of this. And it really is a great tool, and we want you guys to use this as a template. What we don't want you to do is just take this information and straight copy it down, honestly, without adding in any details about you. Because as an alum, I really do read this cover letter and I use it to create the most informed recommendation possible. So just so you know, there is a difference between what is called a RIF and a letter of support. When I was a potential new member, I had no idea what either one of those things meant. And when I was reaching out to alum, to be honest, I just was like, can you do a rec letter for me, without knowing what exactly that meant. So a RIF is a recruitment information form. That is a standardized form that is unique to every single sorority. So as a Delta Gamma, my RIF that I complete on behalf of potential new members will not look the same as the RIF that Crystal completes as a Chi Omega alum. So a RIF, you can basically think about it as it's kind of a standardized fill in the blank questionnaire that our nationals give to us as alum in order to create a really well-rounded picture of who this woman is. And then that is then passed on to the chapter of my house at her university so that they really know what to expect when she's walking through the door. You want RIFs because it really gives the chapter members this amazing introduction to who you are. It allows them to kind of identify you as you're walking in the room and feel excited, like, oh my gosh, that's Crystal. I remember, hearing about her. She sounds awesome. I heard that I saw that she's really involved with philanthropy. I can't wait to talk to her about that. That's kind of what a good RIF and a good letter of support can set you up for. So again, if you can find women to write your RIFs and your letters of support who do personally know you, that's always option number one, because they're going to be able to speak really intimately about who you are and just share the best information possible with their chapter on your campus. But if you do go through a Panhellenic, or if you approach a woman, maybe it's a mom's, friend from college, and you ask her to write you a RIF or a letter of support, and she doesn't really know you that well, you've got to take advantage of this opportunity presented to you by the cover letter to really introduce yourself. So some of the best cover letters I receive let me know why they're planning to go through sorority recruitment. I love when girls tell me, I'm actually anxious about going off to school, and I really see sorority recruitment as a way for me to just quickly make friends. Or maybe, I was involved in Young Life when I was in high school, and I'd love to be involved with campus ministries, but I'm hoping to also maybe join a sorority that, is really active so that they can help me get plugged into some of these other groups. Anything that really lets me know why a sorority is appealing to you helps me to recommend you to a sorority. I also love when girls mention not only their job involvement, even if it's babysitting. I just want to know how you're kind of spending your time, but also your time outside of school and outside of maybe work. So do you volunteer? I had a girl who I wrote a couple of recommendations for her for college, for sorority, for everything. And she's always been really interested in helping people with special needs and went on to major in that at UT. So she let me know all about that in advance of me creating this RIF and this letter of support on her behalf. And I was able to really present that information to the head of recruitment for Delta Gamma at UT, so that they knew exactly who she was and what she was all about and what she was looking forward to. I've also, you may know this or you may not, but each sorority has their own philanthropy. And so for Delta Gamma, ours was Service for Sight. So if a girl writes to me in her cover letter, hey, I'm really involved with people who have visual impairments. I volunteer my time. I know how to read Braille. Anything like that is going to really catch my attention as a DG alum. And even if it's not that targeted, for each individual woman that you're writing to, just hitting on some of that community service that you really enjoy doing, hitting on some key involvements that you've had in high school, and then really speaking to what you're looking to get involved with once you're on campus is going to help her create the most complete recruitment information form possible. Now, just because an alum is writing you a RIF does not necessarily mean that she will also be doing a letter of support. If you are looking for a letter of support, the difference between those two things is, whereas a RIF is that standardized form where it's kind of fill in the blank, and it's the nationals created document that really standardizes or summarizes the P&M for the chapter. A letter of support is a personal letter written from the alum to the VP membership of the chapter on your college campus. So I've written many of these. Typically, if women going through recruitment ask me to do a RIF, I go ahead and go the extra mile for them and do a letter of support because I believe it makes a big difference. So you may want to ask for that though in your cover letter, just saying, in addition to the RIF, if you would be willing to write me a letter of support, I would be so grateful. You will want to look in advance though at your university's Panhellenic regulations, because I do know that at the University of Alabama, they don't accept letters of support. They will only take the standardized RIFs. So Alabama girls, that's definitely something to be aware of. You want to make sure that you are following their guidelines. So don't be nervous about that. Just really Google like your school college Panhellenic and their website will pop up and all of those regulations will be right there for you. So that's the difference between a RIF and a letter of support. And then again, so the sorority alum are going to be using your cover letter to really like hone in on some key points for both of those documents. And then when they start to review your resume, that's going to help them just take that a step further. So again, I can only speak from the perspective of being a Delta Gamma alum, but our sorority is known nationally for really valuing scholarship. So we actually had pretty high GPA requirements. And so one of the first things that I always look at as an alum, and I also looked at it as the head of recruitment, but especially as an alum now, I look right here up at the top where on your resume, you should always start by listing your education, your most recent. So if you've already done a year of college, you can start with that. But if you're in high school right now, then you'll want to lead off just with your high school information. There's no need to include anything about middle school or anything before high school on your sorority social resume. So you'll have your high school listed, and then you'll have your weighted and your unweighted GPA, your class rank if you know it as of now, and then your SAT and or your SAT score. So I always take a close look at that so that I know how to really accurately present a P&M to a chapter in the realm of scholarship. And again, every sorority will have varying regulations for GPAs and for just overall scholarship and aptitude. So that's not something that you will be able to find out in advance. It's something that actually each sorority keeps secret. You will know once you're going through recruitment on the other side as a member. But basically just, you don't obviously doctor any of this, just put the exact information that you have. With one caveat, I will say if you feel like your class rank is low right now, but your grades so far this semester are really looking good, and you expect your overall GPA and maybe even your class rank to improve, note that on your cover letter. We had a lot of girls last year who were really worried about that, who were saying, the fall semester was rough for me, but I know I'm going to be ending the year at a lot higher note, but I have to get these sorority packets sent out the door before my final grades will come in. So in that scenario, all you would do is include exactly what is, your current ranking and your current GPA, but then in your cover letter, you're going to note, I had a tough semester. It's okay to be honest about that, honestly, you guys, because again, as an alum, we're advocating for you and we just want to know kind of where you're at. So maybe saying I transferred schools or I had a rough semester. I'm really expecting my grades to improve. I will notify you by email as soon as I have updated information. And, a lot of alum do not send their letters of support until the summer. So after you get your final grades in, once the semester comes to a close, you can always notify your alum by email if your grades or any of your involvements or activities, anything that you think would really influence your overall presentation to a sorority, you can go ahead and just email your alum and notify them about those updates. Okay, so one last thing, awards and honors. I'm also, as an alum, I'm going to look at that, because I want to make sure I'm noting all of that in my RIF and my letter of support. Activities, same thing. And if there's something like really noteworthy, because on your resume, guys, we like to keep it pretty clean. You don't want like a paragraph describing every single involvement on your sorority resume. So if there's something though that you feel like was really noteworthy or you'd like to share some background, again, use your cover letter and insert it there. That's a really good opportunity to kind of expound on some different things. And then last but not least, we typically put on our resumes on sororitypackets.com, we always put Greek affiliations, also known as legacies, at the very bottom of the last page of your resume. And we've had some questions recently about, you know, if I include legacy information, will some of the other sororities that I'm not a legacy for almost penalize me for that? And honestly, no. Y'all, the VP memberships are used to seeing legacy information. And these days, there's so many girls going through recruitment that being a legacy for a certain house doesn't necessarily like guarantee that you will get a bid from that house. And at the same time, it won't penalize you. Sororities are used to seeing that information. They know that you've got a lot of options out there. So don't let that worry you. The Greek affiliations work in your favor when you are a legacy for a house. And the other sororities will just kind of say, okay, like her mom was a Kappa, cool, but we're Theta, so let's show her why she should choose us. So don't worry about that too much. Okay, so that's the difference between a RIF and a loss. And that's talking about sororities from an alum perspective. So now I'm gonna switch gears and talk about, as a VP membership, who is the director of recruitment, what are they looking for when they're reviewing your sorority packet? So guys, when I was VP membership, I got a lot of printed sorority packets in the mail. Those would typically include the social resume. It would not include the cover letter because your cover letter only goes to alum, but it would also include 3 photographs. So I've got a couple of examples for y'all. These are all taken by Crystal. I don't know if you guys know this, but she's actually an amazing senior photographer, and she's now doing sorority recruitment portraits as well. So if you want information about that, be sure to check out her website, lovemephotography.com. We've also got a couple of things about it on Sorority Scoop as well. But here's some examples of the types of photos you want to include with your sorority packets. So this is your standard headshot, showing your face, looking so pretty. This is your 3/4 shot. And then you've got a full body shot. So you're gonna want to include one of each of those types of photos. With our sorority packets that we sell on sororitypackets.com, we also include labels, sticker labels. You can take a look. It includes your name, your high school, your hometown typically. You can also customize that information if you are an upperclassman. But you use these to label the backs of your photographs. And that's very important because as a VP membership, I'm getting maybe hundreds of these packets. And because, you know, your photos are loose, if they ever get separated from your information, you want to have that label on the back so that I can remember, oh yeah, that's, you know, Hannah. I remember which resume this belongs to. So always make sure to label your photographs. As a VP membership, I would be looking at photos purely so I can recognize you when you walk in the room. Guys, there's a common misconception that, you know, sororities are using those to judge you, or that is not the case. They may be looking at kind of what is your personality as reflected by your style. That's also something that they may look at when looking at your resume. You know, I showed you guys how cute this succulent garden look is. Like, if I received this as a VP membership, I would be thinking, oh, she's kind of like boho, she's pretty cool, she's fashiony, I'm excited to meet this girl. Does it mean that I'm going to take her further in the recruitment process than another girl who sends me a plain Word document? No, it doesn't. So we never want to tell you guys that here at sororitypackets.com because it's not the truth and we would never lie to you. If you have a really strong resume and you send it to me as a VP membership on a Word document, I'm still going to totally be psyched to meet you. I'm not going to downgrade you because I don't think your information is cute. But if you're trying to be memorable and you're trying to create a personal brand and you want to be recognized instantly upon arrival when you walk in that recruitment room, then this is a good idea for you. It's just like, when you apply to a job, professionals do this, bloggers do this. It's very common practice, this personal branding thing, and that extends to sorority recruitment. So if you are a girl who loves to show off your personal style, that's why we kind of recommend, like, yeah, have fun with it. Choose colors, choose a design that really reflects who you are, and show that off to not only the alum, but also the sororities who will then be receiving your information from alum. So again, as a VP membership, I'm looking at your photos purely so I can recognize you when you walk in the room. For that reason, we really don't recommend wearing super formal attire. So I've got another set right here I'm going to show you. This is the most formal I would recommend going in your sorority recruitment photos. So it's kind of like a cocktail dress, but there's no like sequins, there are no beading. Here's her headshot. She just looks really pretty, really natural. There's another one. I guess this is actually the true headshot. That was her 3/4. But it's not real glitzy. This is definitely something I could see a P&M wearing during recruitment week. And I think that's always a great strategy, is to wear in your recruitment portraits clothing that is similar in style, although not identical to what you would wear during sorority recruitment. Again, because the reason that you're doing this is so that sorority chapter members will recognize you and your style and kind of your personal brand instantly upon arrival. Okay, so I think that covers it for photos for now. And I touched on this a little already from the alum perspective, but as a VP membership, when I receive a resume forwarded to me from an alum, I actually first start by reading the alum's letter of support or reviewing her RIF so that I can kind of get a quick summary of what's on this document. Because again, I'm busy, I'm planning recruitment, I'm managing 200 girls in my chapter, but I'm also reviewing 139,000 of these from potential new members who will be arriving on my campus very soon. So I'm going to skim that RIF, I'm going to read the letter of support, and then I'm going to kind of look at the actual resume that she sent to me to kind of back that information up and take a look for myself. So again, the first place my eyes are going to go as a VP membership is right to your GPA. And that's, again, guys, it's not because sororities are harsh or judging you. It's truly because our nationals all set different standards. And we have to make sure in advance that you are able to meet those standards. That just shows us that, scholarship and studying, that's not going to be like that. Sorority membership won't take away from your scholarship, because being in a sorority is supposed to be a complement to your collegiate experience. It's certainly not the sum total of that experience. So we want to make sure that grades won't be an issue, so that you're always eligible to go to formals, to go to mixers, and to do all the fun stuff that kind of comes along with sorority membership. So that's where I'll look first. I will definitely take a look at your awards and honors and your different activities. But in this sense, I'm looking at your activities from a different perspective. So as a VP membership, I am trying to educate the girls in my chapter on how to best interact and engage with you. Because remember, as much as you want to impress these chapter members, they want to impress you. Especially at some of these larger schools, they know that you have a lot of options and they want to stand out as much as you want to stand out to them. So as a VP membership, I would say, okay, like on this mock resume that I've got here, we see that our potential new member was head cheerleader, and she also did cheerleading on the junior varsity squad. So I'm thinking, hey, Megan in our chapter is a cheerleader here at the University of Alabama. So I'm going to make sure that they have a conversation about that, because they would really connect. And then I see here that, oh, she is a member of National Charity League. Okay, Brooke was really into National Charity League. I'm going to let her know about that, so that because I think they would really hit it off. So you're really trying as a VP membership to structure some relationships, and they're reviewing your information from that place. So it's really with a good heart to make you feel welcome in their chapter. That's definitely how I looked at it as a VP membership. I wanted my chapter members at DG to be just so prepared, so ready to have conversations that would make all the potential new members feel truly welcomed and truly known by us. And I think that that is what made our chapter stand out. I hope it is. And so go into recruitment relaxed, knowing that these girls are really working just as hard as you are, and that they are just as anxious to make a good impression on you as you are on them. Okay, so I think that kind of is a lot. I see we're already at 26 minutes. Crystal told me that it's really easy to go on tangents, and I'm totally feeling that right now. So if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to drop a comment. I'll stick around here for a few minutes and try to answer some of those. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to touch on today, but I think that's really it. So if you guys have any additional questions, again, drop a comment. If there are specific topics that you want to talk about, drop a comment. If I said something that kind of sparked another idea for a future topic, just let us know. We are excited to continue doing lives throughout the sorority recruitment season. And we actually did a bunch of them last year. So if you want to get caught up, you can go to sororitypackets.com and hit our resources page. And we've got all of Crystal's videos from last year. Thanks, guys.